Hey guys, happy Wednesday. My apologies for running a bit late, technical difficulties as always, but happy week. I'm so glad to be here today. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Ale Zozos. I'm a registered dietitian. Please excuse my no voice. I have no idea where it's gone, but it is not here today. So I'm going to project as much as possible. I think we have a great crowd today, and today we're going to learn about nutrition for muscle building. Nutrition for muscle building is a loaded topic because there's just so many different layers and things that we can peel back with this. And there's a lot of wrong information that's on the internet. And I was humbly reminded by this as I was preparing for this webinar of just the nonsense that's available, and the very inaccurate information that it's very harmful overall. So we're going to hit on a couple things today. We're going to talk about nutrition and meal planning. We're going to talk about EatLove, because EatLove, we are hosting that webinar for today. All of you are joining us from your gyms respectively across the country. So let's get a sense of where everyone is tuning in from today, and your home gym. Would love to get a sense of who is live today. So we have that going on. And before I get started with our presentation, why don't we go ahead and do a poll just to get a sense of meal planning. Is meal planning a source of stress for you? Yes, no, sometimes. As you can see, it was stressful for me last night. I still have my Cava bag out, but it's always about that good balance. So yes, no, or sometimes, is meal planning a source of stress for you? And while we are waiting for that poll to roll in, let's just start the presentation. All right, so nutrition for muscle building. Of course, introductions today. Like I said, my name is Ale Zozos. I'm a registered dietitian based out of Austin, Texas, and hosting this with EatLove and all of the gyms that are under that umbrella. So we're going to talk about nutrition for muscle building. We'll do a short little mini EatLove demo, just kind of the ins and outs of what it can do for you, and especially for muscle building when we're looking at that protein piece. And then we'll leave some time for questions today. Going back to our poll, 50-50 sometimes and never. Fantastic. All right, so when we're looking at muscle building macro breakdown, the first thing that you're going to associate with muscle building is what your protein level is. It's just kind of naturally falling into place that way. And when we're looking at the macro breakdown, somewhere between 40% carb, 30% protein, 30% fat is a pretty standard breakdown. There is a lot of misinformation out there that I see on the web every single day, where in order to gain muscle, you need to eat 1 gram of protein per body weight, per pound of body weight. That's a lot of protein. That's a lot of protein. It's very impractical for really anyone on a just general healthy journey, going to the gym 2 to 3 times a week, lifting weights. It's not something that's going to stick, and it's not science-based. So what we're looking for, the actual equation, is going to be your weight in kilograms. So if we're doing weight in pounds, we're getting double what we really need. So our weight in pounds, and I've used an example down here using 145 pounds. We're going to divide that by kilograms and get our weight in kilograms. So 145 divided by 2.2 gives us 66 kilograms. The baseline to maintain your muscle currently, it's not as high as you might think it is it's usually about 0.8 grams per kilogram is like the baseline standard. If you are just someone generally healthy in the gym a couple times a week, not really too intense with workouts, 0.8 grams is perfectly fine for you. So using this example, that gives us about 53 grams of protein per day at a minimum. So definitely not to that point of 145 grams per day. Because when you think about that, I'm just going to divide that. Let's say we have 6 opportunities for fueling, 3 of them being snacks, 3 of them being meals. Let's just divide 145 by 3. And every time that we eat, 6, every time that we eat, we're going to have to hit 24 grams of protein, meals and snacks included. Maybe snacks are a little less and meals are a little bit more. That's a lot of protein, and sustained high protein intakes are not great for our kidneys down the line. It's always one thing to keep in mind, that you don't need to overdo it. So if we're looking at someone who is, moderately doing high intensity strength training workouts 5-6 times a week, very, very active, this number may creep up to 1.5. If you're a professional athlete, maybe it's 2 grams grams per kilogram per body weight a day, maybe. But for most of us out there, we're rarely ever going to exceed that 1.5 limit. And even so, that 1.5 limit is going to give us about 99 grams of protein a day, divided amongst our fueling opportunities, meals, and snacks included. When you are on a muscle gaining journey or a lean muscle gaining journey, you are going to have to utilize snacks. And I'll talk about that a little bit later today. So at the most, for this particular example, so if you're curious on what your numbers are falling, you can also use the percent macro breakdown method, which we talked about a few weeks ago. So it's never going to be as much as you think it is. You know, we need to think about what's realistic and practical for our lives, and so that we're not chugging protein powders on a daily basis, which is what we don't want to do. All right, so I'm going to flip to the next slide here and kind of review high protein foods. Some of them might surprise you, some of them not so much. The foods that are really close to our circle here, this high protein foods where you have shrimp, turkey, salmon, chicken, tuna, lean beef, eggs, even tofu. Super high protein foods. They're mostly protein and then maybe a little bit of fat depending on the type of cut it is. So protein or a lean beef, we have salmon, shrimp. All of these are going to have a little bit of fat in them. Our leaner proteins are our turkeys, our chicken, even like our tunas. But it doesn't mean, you know, every protein food is going to have a little bit of something else to it. That's just what a good, well-balanced diet looks like. The further out we get, we may see some plant-based options. We see cottage cheese up here. We see beans. We see quinoa, which is a whole grain. We see nuts and seeds. We see buckwheat, edamame, brown rice, tofu, and then we see the protein powders. I put them on the corner on purpose because there is no reason that protein powder should be our number one source of protein foods. We have all of these options for variety. And what we do when we get this is that we get a lot of vitamins and minerals in the process. I'm always going to be a fan of foods first, supplement where needed. And this should not be our first go-to process when we're on a muscle gaining journey. So we have Kayla working our chat feature today, and she's asking what are our favorite sources of protein. So I'm curious as well if you guys want to drop some of those in the chat, just because maybe you've been inspired to try a few new options. The ones on the outer perimeter of this circle is also going to give you other nutrients. So whole grains are also a carbohydrate. They're primarily a carbohydrate. Nuts and seeds are going to give you fat. They're primarily a fat. They have some protein. Same thing with quinoa, primarily a carb, but they have protein. Same thing with beans and legumes. So at the end of the day, we're looking for a high variety. And my message to anyone attending any gyms is to make sure that you're not feeling imprisoned by the protein powders and feeling like that you need to gobble up 3 protein shakes a day just to see results in muscle growth or muscle mass. It's probably a quick way, but it's not a very fun, satiating way. And we're missing a lot of opportunity when we're only focused on the powder side of things. Miriam likes eggs, love it. I'm a big egg fan as well. And what did the French say? There's 1,000 different ways to cook an egg. So definitely no shortage of options and variety there either. All right, so our next one is lean muscle building tips. So here are the top 4 things that I can give you today when you are on this type of journey. So enjoy breakfast and eat enough calories are going to go hand in hand. I see intermittent fasting a lot. I see skipping breakfast because it doesn't suit your lifestyle or you're not hungry. And these are big red flags. These are big barriers that are going to inhibit muscle growth, that will inhibit fat loss if you are also looking to lose fat and gain muscle at the same time. But if you skimp on an opportunity for fueling, you may not hit those nutrients. You may not hit those nutrients specifically with the protein side, but we learned earlier that we probably don't need as many grams of protein a day as we originally thought, just from the misinformation out there. We're using what's science-based here, and that's going to be our grams per kilogram equation, multiplying that by an adequate number. We don't need to overshoot it. When we overshoot it, we're getting more energy and calories. And if part of that muscle gain, lean muscle mass is fat loss, we don't need that either. But we also do need to eat enough calories if we are doing any type of cardio-based exercise, strength training, cycling class, spin class, HIIT classes, anything like that. We need to eat enough for that. And that is going to be including getting enough energy. So if we miss breakfast, if we're skipping on snacks, it's going to be hard to eat enough mass to support those goals, whether it is just mass or it's gaining mass or it's losing fat and gaining lean muscle mass at the same time. So you're going to need to look at your meals and figure out where you could be lacking in certain nutrients, or if you're skipping breakfast, what are your reasons for skipping breakfast? Is it because you don't have time? Is it because you don't feel hungry in the morning? And if it's because you don't feel hungry in the morning, how long have you not felt hungry in the morning for breakfast? Because that right there could be the answer, and that there's time for change. Adding protein at your meals and snacks for an added boost. So the slide before this, we see all of these other plant-based foods that we can make snacks out of. Nuts and cheese, great snack. Nuts and fruit, great snack. You're still getting protein to that. So we never want to miss an opportunity where we're just not eating protein with our meals, because that's not going to keep us fuller longer. It's not going to keep our blood sugars balanced. It's not going to do a lot of different things. And then, of course, the balanced plate, getting healthy fats and fruit and vegetable and starchy carbs. Of course, we need all of that. We need all of that to round out everything. So what does our muscle building workout timeline look like? So if you see on the left-hand side, we have 2 points. This is going to be pre-workout, and post is going to be our post-workout, kind of making up that anabolic recovery phase. Before your workout, 2 to 4 hours before, we're going to look to get that moderate meal of fat and protein, depending on how your body adjusts. If you're 4 hours out, you can probably eat a regular meal with absolutely no issues. I would probably bet on it. If you are 60 to 30 minutes before and you haven't had a meal in 4 hours, probably want to get some quick acting fuel sources. That's going to be your carbohydrates. That's going to be your rice, your crackers, your piece of bread on your way to the gym. Rice Krispie treats we talked about a couple weeks ago. So fuel with carbohydrates, keeping fats low, fats and protein low. It's not going to digest well if you're jumping around. But then we're looking at that recovery piece, that recovery timeline. And it's going to come down to these 3 words, these refuel, rehydrate, recharge. So when we're refueling, we want to aim for that 15 to 25 gram protein mark for tissue repair. This is essential in your post-workout recovery. It's very popular right now to see someone chugging a protein shake right after they get back from the gym. While the protein is great then, that window is actually a lot bigger than we maybe originally thought. It used to be somewhere like 30 minutes to 45 minutes. And if you didn't get your protein shake in there, all of your muscle gain is going to waste. That's really not the case anymore. But if you are a fan of the protein shake after the gym, there's really no reason to change that. But knowing that if you miss it or you wait a little bit longer to actually prepare whole foods, bioavailability wise, it's probably a little bit better. It's going to taste a little bit better, knowing that you're getting real satiating foods and not something that comes from a packet. Rehydrate is something that we can't forget about either, because of our muscles needing to get those these firing electrodes all throughout our system. So if we don't have that in our muscles, we're not going to be able to perform just even post recovery. But like, think about tomorrow's workout. So a mix of water and electrolytes, essential in recovery, depending on what your workout is. It's always important to hydrate. You should be hydrating during your workout as well. But making sure that you're drinking enough water is going to be essential in your recovery timeline as well. And then recharging, depending on if you worked out in the morning or the evening, continue fueling and hydrated as necessary throughout the rest of the day. So if you did an early morning workout, you're probably going to have 2 to 3 plus opportunities to continue charging and refueling throughout the rest of the day, making sure that we're getting at least 10 grams of protein in each opportunity that we have to fuel until we are ready to wrap up our window for the day and start to unwind and get ready for bed. If you are working out in the evening and you work out and you don't do any of these 3 steps, that is very detrimental to your overall recovery and your overall muscle gains in general. Just because you work out at 8 p.m. is not an excuse to miss dinner if you have not had your dinner yet. If you had dinner and then worked out later, then you probably have something like this, maybe a little bit bigger. Maybe you add a yogurt to it, a couple more grams of protein. At that time, it's going to really depend on what time your workout is, what time your sleep time is, just because you don't want to eat a full meal and then try to sleep. You have too much energy. It'll be difficult to fall asleep. So depending on the time your workout is, but working out later in the day and not eating dinner is not an excuse to skip that dish, because you will be harming your goals and your muscle gains. All right, so common fueling mistakes is eating the wrong types of food for gaining mass. Gaining mass meaning just volume of your muscles overall. So you're going to need a lot of energy and calories to do that. So you could do that by technically eating fast food every day, gains weight really quickly, but not really great for overall health. Lots of sodium in that food, lots of saturated fat. So eating the wrong types of food for gaining mass, think of nutrient dense things. So if we go back to that slide up here with the high protein foods, what's nutrient dense in this picture? Well, salmon for one, super high in protein, super high in fat. Nuts as another one. Eggs are a good one. Any type of dairy product are going to be nutrient dense as well. So where can we, olive oil being a really good one as well. So where can we get those types of foods, get more mass with less volume? That's actually good for you. Avocado is another one. Overtraining without properly fueling, we talked about that earlier. Underhydrating with fluids, our muscles will not be able to fire and respond appropriately if they are not well hydrated. And then eating a significantly low carb diet, which I wanted to put in here, because even if you are on a muscle gaining journey and you think that cutting carbs and cutting to a low amount, 50 grams or less a day is a low amount, 100 grams or less is a low amount for anyone that is physically active. I think the number as a baseline is about 180 for our brains and bodies to function properly. So important note there is that eating a significantly low carb diet where we do not have the energy to partake in our workouts is going to be detrimental overall, and it's going to harm our muscle growth. So our diet equation, how do we get more variety in our diets without eating broccoli, chicken, and rice? And I left off broccoli here just in case we didn't get any ideas. I listed about 6 different options under each, and you can use these as a rotating calendar, rotating inspiration of meals. Think of your protein. Where is your fat coming from? Your fat's usually coming from your protein partially, definitely your fish and any eggs, and then any lean cuts of meat. The chicken's a little bit lighter on the fat, but you're going to get the fat from the preparation method. How are you cooking these? Most of the time you're going to be cooking in some sort of oil. Make it olive for everyone's benefits in terms of overall health. Make it an olive oil, but it's going to be a really great fat piece to do that. It's usually the last thing we have to think about. Cheese is usually a topping. It's usually grated on top at the end of the dish. It's not a main piece of your meal, but it's on there. And then your carbs. What are you eating to create that rapid energy release? Well, we have our rice, but we also have oatmeal, we have bread, we have pasta, we have potatoes. All of these things are the same. They still provide the same amount of carbohydrates in approximately the portion sizes. One slice of that bread is going to give you the same carbs as a half cup of cooked pasta. Same thing as a half cup cooked potatoes, same thing as a half cup cooked rice. Beans and oatmeal, exactly the same. So we don't have to eat rice thinking that we're going to harm ourselves eating a different type of carb. Switch it up. Make sure that you get your vegetables in here. I should have put the vegetables at the top, but sprinkle in your non-starchy vegetables to get a lot of volume. That's going to be your asparagus, your leafy greens, tomatoes, peppers, broccoli, any other types of cruciferous vegetables like cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, kale also as well. But that's going to be a good portion of our plates. Get your fats, protein, and carbs, rotate them. Think of 5 different things that you enjoy, and then you'll be good. All right, so what we're going to do quickly is review EatLove as part of this. And how many of you on today have heard of EatLove in some way, shape, or form? Are you familiar? Let's post that poll. All right. So EatLove is a personalized nutrition technology for making meals at home and dining out. So customly, it is going to be very flexible. We take into consideration 4 million dietary factors. Think of your preferences. So foods that you like, foods that you don't like, family members, who's cooking, where you're shopping from, all of the above. It comes to about 4 million different dietary factors. So answering the question, what's for dinner for a family of 5, it's become increasingly more complicated to answer. So what EatLove does is going to make that a super simple process for you by giving you on-demand meal inspiration that looks like a Spotify playlist. You can see this picture actually kind of looks like Spotify. We're science-based and truly intelligent technology, and it's going to be food that you're familiar with. It's not going to be random things you've never heard of. It's for the most simplistic foodies all the way to our advanced chefs. So I do want to share my screen a little bit today. We'll do a quick 5-minute tutorial. If you have to jump, you will get a recording of this webinar if you do, and thanks for coming if you do. But I am gonna, all right. I believe we can see that okay. So I'm gonna jump over here and share my screen. So when you log into EatLove, it's gonna look just like this on the desktop. You can also download the app through your gym if you are interested in signing up for it. And what you're gonna see over here is that I am working right now with a general healthy diet. And I have all of these parameters to hit on a daily basis. We talked about protein. We talked about and you can see my macros, my calories. I have minimums on fiber and I have minimums on fruits and vegetables, maximums on sodium and saturated fat. So every single day that you see here is going to match that profile if I'm eating recommendations from the app. Of course, you can log your own foods in here in the food log. But if you do EatLove recipes, they're pre-logged. It makes logging rather simple. But you can also add individual food items right here. If I wanted to add yogurt, I could do that. And whatever yogurt that you have. So it can be a mix of both. But basically what it's going to do is keep you on track for your health goals. So this one being generally healthy, not too many restrictions in here, but I can personalize that profile when I do get that invite. I can answer the question, who's eating what when. I can put my food avoidances in. There's thousands of different options. You can choose from different types of eating patterns as well. Taste preferences, cooking and shopping. Do you care about things like organic? How long do you want to spend on meals? Simple recipes only, and then skill level. And you can plan for all of that directly here in your planner. And let's say you've mapped out your week, you're ready to go, and you're ready to go head to the grocery store. There's so much more that this app can do and the technology can do that we just don't have time for. So if you are interested in learning more about it, please let your home gym know. Check out the front desk, see what type of information they have on EatLove. Some of your locations may have a nutrition board that asks the question, what's for dinner? You'll find a lot of EatLove stuff under there as well. We also have a private Facebook group, depending on what club you are from. So if you have any questions on which one to join, please send us an email at support@eatlove.is and we'll be able to direct you to the appropriate group. But basically what I've created is a cohesive grocery list. I can click off things that I already have. I can check out what the actual recipe is needed for. So maybe I have enough maple syrup to get through 4 teaspoons. I don't need to buy a whole bottle. You know, I can remove it. I can say that I have it already, and I can really cut down on my grocery list. Then when you're ready, you can buy online directly from the app through one of our third-party integrations. So we have Walmart, Amazon Fresh, and Instacart, and all of Instacart's partners down here as well. And you can finish the checkout process, save yourself 90 minutes, get your family involved with the cooking process. If you feel like you are cooking way too many things at dinner, have one family member do the shopping, have another one do the vegetable chopping. Let the family schedule recipes directly from the search for exactly what they're looking for. If they want easy Italian dinners, they could do that through the search, just clicking Italian, clicking the skill level as easy, searching for it, clicking on a recipe and scheduling it directly into the planner. So it could not be more simple in that sense. And with that, I am going to come back to our tab here. I will turn screen share off. All right. All right. All right. So that is really all we had lined up for today. Do we have any questions from anyone attending today? Nutrition, muscle building, EatLove, any other types of nutrition questions? I know there's a little bit of a lag, so I will wait just a few minutes if anyone wants to stick around. Awesome. Quiet group today, but I do see we have a good handful, good batch on. Yeah, thank you for joining. Amazing. Yes, and if you guys are interested in learning more about EatLove and the services, we do these bi-weekly nutrition Q&As or webinars every other week. On the off weeks, we host a Q&A in the appropriate Facebook group for whichever club you are coming from. So if you have questions on that, you can reach us at support@eatlove.is, and we will see you there. I will let you all go for today. Thank you all for coming. Let us know if you have any questions. My name is Ale if you need anything, and we'll see you soon.